Welcome to our Wisdom Wednesday talk. It's February 3rd, 2021, and all month we are uh, we are going to be talking about transition. Sorry, I'm looking in the chat box. We just sang a song, and Pam just wrote that she realized she doesn't know how to whistle. She just realized that. That's amazing. Had a already had a realization, and the talk just started. So this is great. Um, so we are talking about transition, and I've been contemplating some of the questions that have been coming up because we were talking about this a little bit last week as well, and really sitting with yeah, the questions that you guys have been asking, and been sitting with some of this source material that I also introduced last week. Um, all of that is in Nowhere Village, actually under the topic sources. It's also all been featured, kind of like pinned at the top of your feed. You'll see a couple of quotes from a couple of chapters from the Tao Te Ching. The chapters, they're really like little poems, and a section of I Am That from Nisargadatta. And so anybody who's watching this talk right now and wants to actually look as I bring up different quotes, you're welcome to do that. Um, what I decided to talk about today, the core of what I want to say, is really just a way of applying these sources, these primary texts, and the teachings that they're trying to share with us, linking those directly to your meditation practice and your life. Um, so I'm going to speak about technique really today, but also again to be grounding it and tying it back into these um, the words of these wise teachers that really wake up our hearts, that really make us, at least for me, right, when I come across a passage or a text or a quote that that wakes something really true and real up for me, or helps me let go of holding on to something that has really been untrue. When it helps me get that kind of perspective, and and it helps me have realizations, um, in those moments when I connect with a source in that way, I feel like I've just up leveled my practice, right? I feel like I've just gotten somewhere, because look, all of these wise teachers, these texts have been sitting around for a long, long time, but and them just sitting on the shelf doesn't do much, right? Um, but in those moments when you connect to something, when you hear something, and hopefully for some people, every once in a while I say something in a talk that does this for you. But when we do hear something that wakes up that sense of truth inside in a personal way, that means that the listener is present, right? The receiver, the taker, the one that experiences life is present. And the more experiences like this that we have, the more we really kind of immerse ourselves into the teachings and surround ourselves by others that are interested in this, uh, the more that inner seer, listener, the inner awareness, all these different words for trying to say that same thing, the inner awareness becomes awake, is awake more and more often. We become more and more accustomed to that being how we engage with life, is through that awareness. And so sharing the texts isn't quite enough if we can't really hear them, if we can't really see them, if we can't really get what's going on with them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reference a couple of things that I brought up last week, and then I'm going to talk about how we apply that to our technique here. Um, and so anybody who is following along, I am that page 212. It's also in sources, and this section is called "Be Indifferent to Pain and Pleasure." And so I posted that all last week, and you can follow along if you want. But I'm not going to go through as much of it as I did last week. I'm going to speak right now just really to the very specific advice he gives us about how to meditate, right? He says, he says, give all your attention to the level on which I am is timelessly present. For those following along, it's the second paragraph, right? Give all your attention to the level on which I am is timelessly present. So this is what we're doing when we sit in meditation, right? We're trying to find that sense. And then he talks more about it, and a little later the student says, well, can I think, rather than just I am, can I think I am God? And he says, basically do what works for you, but be really careful with that part, because you could easily get stuck in ideas, concepts. And so this is a really important thing to remember, that, well, here, I'm gonna pivot back to that part, not getting stuck in concepts, but coming back to, like, this is the essential technique, is give your attention to the level at which I am is timelessly present. How do we do that? How do we do that? That's hard. And he tells us why, right? He says, because you're always seeking pleasure, avoiding pain, after happiness and peace. So this idea that I'm broken, that I'm lacking, that I need more peace, or I need less pain. He says this takes us on this whole journey that sends us out into the periphery, away from center. This takes us on this whole journey, which brings us away from the center, which is the actual source of the satisfaction, the peace, the love, all the things that we're actually seeking. And so the essence of the technique, right? If the technique itself it's a little subtle, it's a little challenging. How do I put my attention on what is timelessly present? Right? This is going to take practice. This is why we sit every single day if we can, you know? And we find that over time, something occurs, something shifts. Now, the techniques are ABCs. The use of touchstones is what I usually call them. In some traditions, they're called meditation objects or anchors. The use of, right, so like your mantra, working with your breath, the use of all of that is a kind of intermediary technique as we learn to discover what it is to be with the I am, as we learn what it is to be awareness. And we do need an intermediary, right? This whole month is about transitions, and something that we'll be talking about throughout the month is the stuff of life is always in transition. There is no moment where you were not in transition, on a cellular level, on a physical level, on an emotional level, on a psychological level. There is no point at which you were not growing or learning. There is no point at which we, as a human being, can put our little finger through the spokes of the wheel and stop that thing from turning. And so we use a technique to be the transition, right? We use a technique to be like the road, the connecting point. But we need to make sure that we don't get then attached to a new thing. So we don't get attached to the ideas and to the stories. And what you're going to find is that's really what the mind has. That's how the mind hooks on to the stuff of life. is your identities, ideas, stories, beliefs. And this is why when we're in meditation, right, we're doing the ABCs, we're working with the touchstones lightly to see if the touchstones will take us beyond the thing, right? Here's a thing in the world, right? If this is my mantra, I am, or the feeling of I am, it's my touchstone, I got it. What we want it to take us to ultimately is the realization of whatever's holding this, the realization of the one that is receiving, observing, taking. So we can't just get attached to a new thing and think that this is me, right? And so along the way, we learn a lot about transition. We learn a lot about cycles, movement. And in this passage, in a few different places, in a few different ways, he basically says right at the beginning, he says, watch your thoughts as you watch the street traffic, right? Register, people come and go, you register without some huge response. And what that's doing is teaching us how to sit as awareness and notice that the awareness does not get, there is a part of you that does not get disturbed, whatever it clocks, whatever it observes. That is the level at which the I am is timelessly present. And then we'll notice that everything that's not the I am is transition. Everything. There is nothing there, and I give you that image of like the wheel spinning and you can stop it, right? We keep in our ideas. Our ideas are not, at least for most of us, evolved, right, in such a way that they can be like life in transition. They can be like reality. And so those trapped ideas that I have, oh, this is me, this is Erin, this is who I am. It's a stuck false thing. It's a paper doll cutout. And yeah, I'm going to have a really unsatisfying time if I think I am that two-dimensional, stagnant, stuck. I'm not going to be so open to realization. If that's how I identify, if I think that idea is me, then I could read this all day long without caring to, without being excited, without highlighting things, without being engaged, without it actually blossoming in me. Once awareness is present, the teachings are everywhere. Everything is the guru. There's another quote from the Sargadatta that I gave a while back, the giver is always present. The taker is absent, meaning I'm not there with my palms open to receive all the offerings of life. I'm obsessing about a paper cutout and everybody else's paper cutouts. And if I can manipulate them to create a thing that gives me more pleasure and takes away some more pain, I'm so busy in that whole endeavor. I'm so immersed in my false reality of my mind that I'm absent for the miracle, the guru, for life. So, and this, the last thing that I think that I'll loop this into is actually I'm going to talk a little bit about the question of care, which has been coming up a lot and came up in our founders circle on last Friday. So just to recap, right, we're talking about our technique is basically to put the attention back on awareness, or the feeling of I am, that which doesn't change and shift, which has been here continuously, consistently, our entire life experience, the I am. On the way there, we find a touchstone or multiple, right? We have the whole ABCs. It's like a little framework, right? When we sit to meditate. And then along the way, I'm asking you, okay, step A, arrive. What helps you arrive? What helps you experience that? And it could be a gesture, by which I mean, it's a gesture, right? It could be an internal physical gesture of softening my belly, for instance. It could be a phrase. It could be an image, right? Um, and that's all, there are internal touchstones, but also like think about what is what is a cathedral but an external touchstone? A temple. It's a touchstone you walk inside of. It is a place that is meant to evoke a spiritual experience, whatever the values are of that particular spiritual tradition will be imbued in every bit of that place. And at home, you might have a little altar or a picture of your teacher. A mala, wearing your mala, if you have mala beads, right? You can go through your mala, touching those, a touchstone. So it's everywhere, right? The question is, what for you wakes up the experience that you're looking for? And so it's through the ABCs, I'm saying, okay, the first experience I want you to have is arrival. The second experience I want you to have is being breath. The third experience is connecting to care. And so for each of those, you might have a little touchstone, something that, again, we don't get attached to, but it is like a gateway that takes us to the experience. And so a question that's been coming up, Lee and Sveta were both talking about the issue of when I say, okay, connect to care, they often get a little lost in the ideas, they get a little lost in the stories about care and turn it into this whole internal inquiry. And yes, absolutely, within a 20-minute meditation, you can spend a few minutes on inquiry. You could spend more on inquiry if you want, asking these questions, kind of playing around with concepts, asking questions and seeing how your body responds. Great. But we don't want to get stuck there because that's another way, as I said, to get attached to another thing. This is a pen, obviously. It is a material thing. But our ideas are also things. Like I said, if they're not dynamic and alive, they are also, they're stuck in this. We can get more attached to ideas than physical objects, is what I'm saying. They're always right there, right? Yeah. So that's all to say that those of you are trying to work with all of these, don't feel like with every step or in every practice you have to do some deep inquiry and discover a new touchstone. Use the ones that have worked, that are working. You're really doing this technique all day long in a certain way, right? You're looking for the thing that is going to help you experience what you're looking for. And Nisargadatta says right here, he says, the first step is trust, right? Or he says, trust the teacher that enables you to take the first step. And then your trust will be justified by personal experience. In every walk of life, initial trust is essential. Without it, little can be done. Every undertaking is an act of faith. Even your daily bread, you eat on trust, right? So same thing. We grab that bread, we assume that it's going to do what it's always done, which is make us feel full. And so you're already doing this. Now we're just learning how to really get clear about what you're doing and apply this technique. Okay, care, love. This is both why we practice and what creates the obstacles to the practice. Yeah, love and care. It's everything. And by coming to understand the nature of care and love, by doing our inquiry work a little bit, maybe in meditation practice, but also right outside of meditation practice, I've got these prompts for you to work with this month, but contemplating being somebody who's an explorer of reality, having trust and faith in your own ability to observe and explore reality. Through doing this inquiry on care and what we care about, we can let go of some of our ideas about care and some of the ways that our care, when kind of sent down the wrong channels or worked with in ignorant ways, that our care can be the very thing. Our care is actually what takes us to war, right? Our desires, that emotional charge. And so every tradition, every tradition I've ever gotten anything out of has been a really love-centered tradition. It's the teachers have spoken about the power of love. And we have to come to realize that any power can be used for destruction, chaos, harm, negation of self, dishonoring of the true and real. The same power can be used to honor the true and the real, to create more of a sense of harmony and balance and and peace in this world. And so the power of love is so important. Not because it's not because it's this thing that if we could just import enough of it, we'll be fine, right? Just get more and more and more of that over here, right? It's that idea of what love is keeps us from being able to really love fully. And so all of these traditions, what they're doing is they're taking that powerful thing that can shift and move in whatever direction and shift our lives in whatever direction, coming to understand it and and harness it well enough that we can actually use it for the greater good. But at first, what we're going to find is that our care makes us afraid, right? When we care about something, we can lose it. And when we want something, we can crave it, right? And that can create all this disturbance. And so I'll share this little piece again, which I shared last week. Above all, you love yourself and you want yourself to be secure and happy. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't deny it. It is natural and good to love oneself. Only you should know exactly what it is that you love. It is not the body that you love, it is life, perceiving, feeling, thinking, doing, loving, striving, creating. It is life that you love, which is you, which is all. And so this whole thing begins with looking at what's already here, what is already powerful, what is already present, rather than turning away from, what he described there. You love yourself, right? We might think, oh, that's selfish. I'm going to ignore that. No, see, feel, be present for all the stuff that's here. The stuff that keeps coming up again and again that causes you suffering, or that draws your attention to it, check that stuff out. Give yourself a little time and space for meditation, but also for journaling, or just taking a walk with a question, thinking it over, for having discussions with friends, you know, for reading some of the sources that we put up. I didn't really get into that poem that you posted, Holly. That air poem that you posted is so great. I'm going to see if we, after questions, I'll refer to it a little bit. But there's all sorts of really cool stuff in Nowhere Village to look at right now. But really, what I'm saying is follow the care and apply your curiosity and see for yourself, how does this whole thing work? How am I involved in it? Come to see that life is a process, life is transition, and you're not stopping that. You also crave something that doesn't change, that doesn't go away, that doesn't dwindle. It would be too much to love this much and know that everything ends when the body ends, right? He says, you're not the body. But it's not true, because even though all of these things in life, including this body and this personality too, everything ends. Everything is just part of this looping cycle, right? The cycle itself doesn't end. You are that. Awareness doesn't end. You are that. Love doesn't end. And you are that. Let me know if you have questions. Stay on for just a couple more minutes. I put up a couple of Tao Te Ching chapters for you. Those are I didn't have a chance to really dive into them too much, but I'll just say this, which should kind of tie a lot of this together, and also tie it to the song that we're singing this month, Manifest by Andrew Bird. Tao Te Ching, chapter 74. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you aren't afraid of dying, there is nothing you can't achieve. For those of you who don't know, Holly has been reading a poem every week on her Thursday mornings. You can go tomorrow morning at 7:30, and she reads a poem, and they're always really perfect and resonant with what we're talking about in here. And I posted as featured the one that she read last week. I don't know what she's going to read tomorrow. No one knows. We'll find out. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and just look at that really quick before we close. And as I'm waiting to see if any questions or comments come in, what I loved so much about it is the way that I could feel the energy of transition in there. She doesn't know yet either. Holly doesn't know what she's going to read yet either. And okay, hang on one second. It's short, so yeah, I'll go ahead and bring this into close. So this is a poem called Air by W.S. Merwin. This way the dust, that way the dust. I listen to both sides, but I keep right on. I remember the leaves sitting in judgment, and then winter. I remember the rain with its bundles of roads, the rain taking all its roads, nowhere. Young as I am, old as I am, I forget tomorrow, the blind man. I forget the life among the buried windows, the eyes in the curtains, the wall. So I just love that, and I just felt like,
There's more. There's more.
oh, there's more.
There's more.
Okay,
You have to.
I'll look at it. But
Yeah,
that,
can I get the ending for you?
yes, please.
All right, hold on one second, okay? Can I jump back in?
Yeah. But I just love how this all dovetails in while she's looking at it. And I also wanted to bring this in to invite all of you, share the things that are like that you see during the week, post them for us, and I'll keep trying to integrate this stuff in. And I'll let Holly speak whenever you're ready. You can come on and finish the poem for us. Oh, I see it now because of the image.
Yeah, you have to click on it. Okay, here it is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Air. Naturally, it is night. Under the overturned lute with its one string, I am going my way, which has a strange sound. This way the dust, that way the dust. I listen to both sides, but I keep right on. I remember the leaves sitting in judgment, and then winter. I remember the rain with its bundle of roads, the rain taking all its roads, nowhere. Young as I am, old as I am. I forget tomorrow, the blind man. I forget the life among the buried windows, the eyes in the curtain, the wall, growing through the immortelles. I forget silence, the owner of the smile. This must be what I wanted to be doing, walking at night between the two deserts, singing.
Thank you. It's even better. It's even better when you have the beginning and the end. Oh, it's great. Thank you, Holly. And thanks to everyone. I am feeling more and more like what we're doing here is becoming more of a collective tapestry. And last night, Lindsay hosted an Imbolc ceremony, which I'm going to create a whole section for just ceremony, because that feels important. But there's a video of that, and it was really beautiful. I watched the video and did the ceremony with everyone afterwards and made a little, make this really cool thing. So yes, so I just wanted to close today. Uh, thank you, Holly, for that inspiration. Thanks to Andrew Bird for our song. Thanks to the poets and our teachers, and yeah, keep coming back and weaving in your inspiration and your peace and your realizations, um, and that's how we're gonna keep moving forward together as a collective. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful week. And I'll see you all soon.